Our name is Ghosts Want You Dead. Something, something spooky. Something, something about it being far too hot. Something, something, we're reusing this joke. Hi, I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Matthew.
How's it going?
It's okay. It's uncomfortably warm, but that's always the case.
It's been very hot.
I hate summer.
Me too. I needed to mow, but at this point, I think I'm just gonna let it burn up into, because it's not even grass anymore.
That
I did end up just watching a dumb, weird movie this morning. That was,
that reminds me because the movie that I watched
oh,
that I
okay.
want to tell you about
All right, well,
has
let's
lawn
play
mowing in
paper
it
rock.
first. First, I wanted to talk to the people about being mad at Nicholas Holt for
Oh,
Harry
yeah.
Potter.
I am sad and mad about that. You tell them they'll get mad too, hopefully.
Well, we are sad and mad about that because we previously liked him. I had got confused because I thought there were more people that had signed on to the show that I am mad about, but there were more people that did the recent audiobook adaptation that I am mad at. So, people whom I previously enjoyed, but now am mad at for their support of transphobia. The people that I am mad at for doing the new audiobooks that were just produced, Hugh Laurie,
Aw, you're just knocking off all my crushes.
Riz Ahmed, Michelle Gomez,
That's lame.
Bill Nye. Less so mad at because I don't super care about them,
I
but
love him.
notable names. Who do you love?
Bill Nye.
Oh, yeah. No, I meant who I was about to say, which is Kit Harington,
Really? Uh,
and also Matthew McFadden, and also Ruth Wilson, and also the hot, crazy guy from Game of Thrones with the Welsh name I can't say. I think it's Ewan Rian.
Also, Matthew McFadden, like, is good and talented. That really sucks. Fuck him.
The most heartbreaking from the book is Saoirse Monica Jackson from Dairy Girls.
Oh, yeah, that is a bummer.
So those are the people we're mad at that did the audio book. For the TV series, it's not so much anybody I cared about other than Nicholas Holt and Papa Esidu,
Really?
who was Kwame on I May Destroy You. I don't know if you watched I May Destroy You, Becca, but you should have.
That's a bummer, man.
It is. So we're mad at the people for signing on to various Harry Potter projects. And I win the rock, paper, scissors you suggested because that ties into the movie I wanted to tell you about.
Well, we should play rock, paper, scissors anyway, just for fun.
Okay.
Rock,
One,
paper,
two,
scissors,
three.
shoot.
Rebecca won, but I'm still going to tell you about
Yeah, I
my
just
movie first.
was excited to do it.
There is a relatively new movie on Shudder called Nightborn, which I'm about to spoil. So if you intend to watch that, don't listen to me for the next 2 to 3 minutes. It features Rupert Grint, who was the little redhead
Yeah.
boy in the Harry Potter
Yeah, I
movies.
know that
But
segues
now
well.
he is middle aged.
Yeah.
And this is another one of those, like, it's about motherhood and postpartum depression, but through a horror metaphor
Fuck,
movies
I
that
tend to like
uh,
those.
I have enjoyed some of, like, The Babadook is really good. What's the one about the lady doing the ritual to resurrect her dead kid? I can't, A Dark Song, maybe, is what I'm thinking of. But anyhow, Nightborn is little redhead boy from Harry Potter is all grown up now, and he has married a Finnish woman. They move to her dead grandmother's abandoned, rickety old house in the woods of Finland.
That's kind of
And
sweet.
it's spooky. And there's hints dropped about some sort of mythical, perhaps fairy creatures being about. When they first decide to move in, she leads him out into the woods around the house where there are lots of trees that look spookily like people. And
People trees.
like one tree will have a titty, and one tree will have a face, and one tree will look like a person crawling on all fours.
Well, that is creepy.
Whatnot, and she leads him under a particularly giant tree and fucks him
Okay.
and says in her Finnish accent, "Make me a mother." And she does get knocked up, and she has a spooky little baby that is
Oh.
born super hairy. When it breastfeeds, it draws blood
Oh dear.
and it cries all the time.
Oh dear.
And we're like, is this lady crazy? Is this a changeling?
Yeah.
Uh,
What's the
and it turns out to be a little troll baby. And she apparently was also a
a
little
troll
troll
baby?
baby, maybe, but she ends up almost driving little Harry Potter boy away with her troll baby because he thinks she's just crazy. The troll baby ends up killing his dad by magicking a giant tree to grow out of the middle of the house and impale him.
Huh, like you
And
do.
then the end of the movie is one of the trees comes to life and creeps to the edge of the forest and beckons to the little troll baby. Its mother just like walks it out to the porch and smiles and is like, okay, go be with the trolls now. Happy ending. We killed your dad.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I struggle to see what that is saying about motherhood or postpartum depression.
Yeah, I mean,
But the important takeaway from the film is I learned about they have Roombas now that mow your lawn.
what?
And they had one in the film.
Oh, that's
And I
funny.
had to look up, like, where can I get one of those? And you can get them virtually anywhere, but they're a fucking $1,000 for a lawn mowing Roomba.
But I mean, I feel like $1,000 for a automatic lawnmower is not the craziest fucking thing. But also, fuck lawns, fuck yards, permaculture, baby. Like nobody should have a big ass yard. Like,
Well, that's what the trolls thought about the Roomba
well,
lawnmower in this movie
I got news for
because
you.
it kept getting stuck in the yard. And then a big old root grew over it to be like,
Yeah.
stop mowing the
Stop
lawn.
mowing the lawn. Let us wild it back and take it over as one should.
What we're saying is Rebecca is a troll.
Yes, 100%. That's what I'm saying.
Anyway, that's the weird movie that I watched.
Mine was less exciting. It was the 1988 romantic comedy Chances Are, starring Robert Downey Jr. and Sybil Shepherd, Mary Stuart Masterson, Ryan O'Neal. It's I don't know, it felt very in line with movies from the same era that were getting a little woo-woo, but still like Peggy Sue Got Married. Peggy Sue Got Married.
That's Time travel, Kathleen
Time
Turner.
travel, Kathleen Turner and Nick Cage, yes, which is so good. Honestly, I love that movie. This movie, I don't know that I love, but basically, Sybil Shepherd gets married to her hot husband and they love each other. They're like soulmates or whatever. When they're getting married, his best friend, who is also best friends with her, like they're all best friends together, like is standing up there next to him as his best man. And he's like, you know, I'm in love with her, right? And he's like, I know. So then it's kind of weird because it's like he knows his best friend's in love with his wife, but they're still all chummy and best friends. And it's a whole thing. And then a year later, she gets pregnant and then he dies. He gets hit by a car. Then he is reincarnated, but like he goes up and he's like, "No, I got to get back right now." And so they're going to send him back, but they're supposed to give him his forgetting juice and it's like an injection. They give him an injection to like make him forget again.
And he comes back and is the baby, and she
No,
marries the
he
best
comes
friend.
back. No, it's weirder than that. He comes back and randomly meets his daughter, who is his same age, essentially. Then, like, he meets her by Happenchance and they're flirty, and that's it. And he doesn't remember anything yet. He's still Alex. He's still Robert Downey Jr. as a young 20 something.
Is that what you think the term is and how you've said it, or did you just misspeak?
What?
Because you said happen chance
No.
instead of happenstance.
No, that was
You
just a
said
weird
happen
mouth
chance.
thing. No, that is not some weird Becketism
Okay,
that has happened. That is just an accidental mouth foible. But
just checking. I'll
uh,
take that out. But I was like, the
no,
fuck?
you can leave it in. That's funny that, yeah, no, happenstance. My apologies. So he meets Mary Stuart Masterson. They flirt. Then later, he's trying to go get he's graduated Yale or whatever, and he's going to go try to get a writing job or like a journalism job at the same place his best friend is at. But he doesn't, again, he's like drawn to these people. He doesn't know that they're his people. But anyway, the best friend tries to help him out getting a job, but the guy won't hire him. So then he's like, well, come back with me with my friends and we'll, he's living in his car, I guess, or whatever. Robert
So
Downey
he's
Jr.
grown even though he was just reincarnated.
Well, no, this is all like, I'm sorry, like 20 something years later, like
Okay. Grows
is
up and
grows up
then
and meets Mary
fall.
Stuart
Okay.
Masterson, who is his daughter, gets flirty, ends up with the best friend going back to his house. And once he goes back to where his house was and sees his wife, all the memories start coming back. And he suddenly is remembering, like, I am me, this was me. But it
Does
didn't
he
happen all
bone
at
his
once.
daughter?
Hold on. It's weird. So he makes out with her before his memories start coming back. Once his memories start coming back, he's like, oh, this is weird, whatever. But he then is trying to tell Sybil Shepherd that he is, in fact, her husband. And of course, they think that he is a con artist or crazy. He's able to prove things, yada, yada, yada. Him and Sybil Shepherd have some hot, like middle-aged, young 20-year-old, like romance. But Mary Stuart Masterson is concerned and confused as to why Robert Downey Jr. does not want to bone her anymore when he did. Oh, there's also like a weird random subplot of like he had evidence that this one judge was on the take. Like, yeah, it's crazy
No, I never saw that.
how it all ends up is the best friend who has been in love with Sybil Shepherd for all of this time is still in love with her, but he's just been giving her space because she's never gotten over the death of the guy. And so she's going to bone Robert Downey Jr., but then that doesn't happen. He proves it to both of them that he really is who he's saying he is. Then Sybil Shepherd ends up boning the best friend. Robert Downey Jr., I guess, like falls down some stairs and hits his head. And then in the hospital, the little man comes and injects him with the forgetting juice. And then he's forgotten it. So then he just goes ahead and bones Mary Stuart Masterson. And they're all a happy family.
Okay.
It was not what I was expecting.
Well, I sort of incest, I guess.
But
The content you
well,
come to Ghosts Want You Dead for,
that's
because
what I
we
was
end
gonna.
up.
That's why I was gonna bring it up on the podcast, is because it is incense related, or it is incest related, so it is topical for our podcast. But it isn't really incest related, I guess. When you think about, I mean, I get what they were trying to do, but it reads way off. Like, I understand that it's a soul family, right? And like, but
Well, isn't that the same thing that happens in Peggy Sue Got Married or Back to the Future or one of them, where
I
the
mean, there's
boy goes back in
weirdness.
time and has sexual chemistry with his mom
Yeah, that's
till he
Back to the
realizes it's
Future,
his
and
mom
that's
or
super
whatever?
weird.
Yeah.
It is not the case in Peggy Sue Got Married. There's weirdness in Peggy Sue Got Married, but I don't think that's it.
I don't know that I've ever actually seen that.
I'm pretty sure in our early days of getting to know each other, I made you watch it because it's one of my favorites.
Speaking of things to watch, another theme of our podcast, mostly our Patreon episodes, has been revisiting things from our youth that are extremely problematic and being like, wow, I sure liked that when I was little. That's fucked up.
Hmm.
Mad TV is on Tubi now.
Oh, yeah.
So
I don't know that I want to sully it. Like, just let it live in its impermanent or imperfect state of memory.
I might have to go back and watch some old Mad TVs.
Well,
Anyway, we've talked about lots of films and television programs.
I can't talk about Dark Shadows.
Shall we talk about Dark Shadows when Rebecca finds her telephone?
What did I do with it? Oh, it was under me. Yes, let's talk
Rebecca
about
has
Dark Shadows.
found her telephone.
Thanks for narrating.
Now we can talk about Dark Shadows.
In episode 236, Victoria Winters tells us that the moon is a spooky eye in the sky and it's watching Maggie die.
Ooh, it rhymes.
I know.
I do appreciate that Vicky is now including the moon in her weather reports.
I do too. However, I think we talked about she went on and on and on this one, just talked for a good long while and
And
didn't say
didn't
much of
say
anything.
anything. It was just like 45 seconds of classic Victoria Winters word salad to say, like, Maggie's getting Dracula'd.
And see, look at the pretty moon. We do see the pretty moon outside as we then see Maggie from a different angle this time, choking her last breaths, and the nurse checking on her again and running out to get the doctor. And the rest of the previous episode plays out where we see that Maggie is gone. Opening credits. The doctor is telling Sam that Maggie is gone, and Sam's like, dead? And he's like, well, no, not exactly, just gone. She's disappeared. And
Back to his ways where he was being weird,
yeah.
talking about Willie's sickness, where he's like, he's not sick, blah, 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 that bit that I did last week. This time he rushes into the room where the patient's father and boyfriend are waiting for news, and he just comes in and says, she's gone.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, she died? And he's like, oh no, that's not what I meant.
But then
But sort
actually also
of.
kind of yeah, no, it Dr.
Woodward
whatever.
sucks.
Yeah, he's not the best doctor. I would not necessarily want him on my team. But yeah, he hems and haws around and finally gets the point across that she has either wandered off or been taken. Sam and Joe are clearly and obviously distressed by this and want to go look for her, but the doctor says the sheriff's already looking, and he is worried that he is worried about Sam going out after not sleeping and all the stress.
But Joe offers to go instead.
Yeah, he's going to go to the cemetery. He says he's going to find her alive, and then Joe leaves. Sam doesn't think that the doctor believes she will be found alive. And the doctor tells Sam that Maggie didn't have a heartbeat before she vanished. He also thinks that someone must have taken her out of the room, but he hems and haws on this point multiple times throughout several episodes. So,
Yeah, he goes out of his way to say, like, listen, her heart wasn't beating and she wasn't breathing. And the nurse, who is a qualified professional who I trust, says that she was dead. But maybe she
yeah.
wasn't dead.
Yeah.
And it's annoying. So he won't commit to saying, in his personal opinion, if he thinks Maggie is alive or not.
Either way, Sam's really broken up about it. And then we see Maggie lurking around the cemetery to the Halloween soundtrack.
But before that, Woodward grabs Sam by the shoulders
Oh, I
very
missed that.
intimately, uh,
Oh,
while Sam is crying and Woodward is trying to comfort him. He grabs him by the shoulders and, like, is he going to give him a massage, or he's just holding him by the
I
shoulders?
missed
Or
that. I guess I was typing, but
and as you say, out in the night, Maggie walks through the shrubbery to the sound of howling dogs, while back at the hospital, Woodward now tries to force sedatives on Sam, but he refuses. Burke arrives, and Dr. Woodward tries to lead him away from Sam to explain, but Sam just blurts out what's going on and is like, she's maybe dead and also she's missing. Joe returns, confirming that Maggie was not at Eagle Hill Cemetery, and he's out of ideas for where else to look. And Sam is being belligerent. Burke suggests that whoever made that mystery phone call about Maggie being at the cemetery would probably know. And also, he knows that that was Willie. So Burke is going to question him about it. Joe tags along, so the two of them head out. At the old house, Burke raps insistently on the door, and the phantom dog howls. Burke knocks more and louder. Eventually, Barnabas answers. Funny that Burke, who was our villain for so long, is the only polite person in
he would
Collinsport that,
actually just bust up in there.
yeah, he's the only one that will actually knock on a door and wait for an answer without just busting in uninvited.
Yeah.
So good for Burke having manners. They want to speak to Willie, and Barnabas explains that that will be impossible because he's sent Willie on an errand to Bangor and he won't be back till tomorrow evening. They explain Maggie's disappearance and how they think Willie might be involved. Barnabas feigns confusion, so they explain their theory that Willie made the anonymous phone call. You know, the one that Barnabas has already beaten him for.
Barnabas says that Willie couldn't have been the one to call because he was with him, but they catch him on that and say, well, he spoke to Vicky at the door. And he's like, oh, well, yes, he came right home after that, so he couldn't possibly have called. Anyway, he's not involved. Nice to see you. Goodbye. And attempts to usher them out.
Well, he does want to know precisely what it is they think Willie has done, and they can't answer. They're just like, he must know something. Burke then thinks that he hears a noise which would indicate someone else was in the house, but Barnabas dismisses it.
Oh, well, creaky old house. Goodbye now. Goodbye. And they leave. Then Barnabas says, okay, you can come out now. They're gone. You're safe now. And then Maggie, with a big fresh bow on the top of her head, comes out looking beautiful and hypnotized. He shows her her room and he tells her that she is lovely and calls her Josette. And she's like, Josette? And he is like, yes, that is your name now. You shouldn't have tried to kill yourself on the cliffs. And or she shouldn't have tried to kill herself on the cliffs, and you tried to resist at first too, but now you, she, her, you are happy with me together forever.
Yeah, even he's a little confused by his scheme because
Yes.
he's telling her when he calls her Josette, she's like, Josette?
Like,
And
what?
he explains, oh, yeah, that's your name now. I intend to brainwash you into becoming my dead fiance. In fact, you are my dead fiance. And also, I forgive you, I mean her, for killing herself to avoid getting Draculaed by me, but also you are her, and we're going to be very happy. Maggie is effectively brainwashed and can speak, but basically only repeats the last word or short phrase that he said.
Yep.
So he says something like, and we're going to be happy together. And Maggie's just like, together. So she's clearly under some sort of hypnosis. She starts briefly to shake it off and mentions Eagle Hill like she remembers encountering him in the cemetery, but he quickly re-hypnotizes her and is like, oh, look, here's your old wedding dress. We're going to get married. You're going to be my bride. And Maggie's just like, bride? Seemingly upset, she sheds a tear, and Barnabas begs her not to cry. He promises her that she will be happy, and he presents her with a music box that he sort of contradicts himself about because when he gives it to her, he says, this is a gift I bought for you, 200 years ago, but I wasn't able to give it to you. And then he tells a different story later
I
on.
didn't actually catch that one.
Maybe I'm making it up, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. He encourages her to play the music box, telling her the music will help with the brainwashing. It will make you think that you're Josette. I'm not sure how that works, how he foresaw this 200 years ago and got the special magic brainwashing music box for, yeah, but at any rate, she does play the music box, and it's a silly little childish, like nursery rhyme tune
It is.
sounding thing that is supposed to be their big love theme and Dead Josette's favorite song, but it's not compelling in the least,
No.
I don't think. This seems to work, though, and she starts making the I'm hypnotized face more. We match cut from Maggie's face to the portrait of Josette, which looks nothing like her. They really should have changed the portrait to resemble Maggie when they started this storyline. It would be jarring, but no worse than pretending that the portrait of Barnabas in the main house has been here the whole time. Anyway, end credits.
Episode 237. Victoria Winters tells us mostly dead Maggie is missing and the misters are on a manhunt.
In the foyer at the Collinwood main house, Vicky is finishing a phone call with Sam, which Jerry Maguire is eavesdropping on. Once she's hung up, he asks what's going on, and Vicky explains about Maggie's seeming death and subsequent disappearance. Vicky mentions that it's possible that somebody snatched her. Jerry suggests that she also could have just left on her own. Quick shot of the Barnabas painting before the opening credits, just in case we forgot. No, Barnabas is Draculaing her before the opening credits. Jerry asks for clarification about the whole, what do you mean she's maybe dead thing? And Vicky explains. Jerry is suspicious. Like, sounds like that hospital sucks if they can't tell if someone's alive or not.
At that point, there's a knock on the door, and it is Sheriff George, who we have greatly missed. We like Sheriff George and Burke. And Vicky lets them in. they want to ask Vicky some questions, or rather, George wants to ask Vicky some questions about Maggie. They all start to head to the drawing room, but he kind of postures when he is officially introduced to Jerry and is like, "I've been meaning to check you out, bud." And he wants him to join in the discussion as well. Jerry tries to evade this, but George presses and people do what George tells them to do. Yeah, and then Sheriff George is telling about how they've been looking for Maggie to no avail, and that the even the dogs were weird when they had them trying to track her.
They
Essen-
behaved strangely and as if they were afraid.
yeah. So George is like, "We think someone took her."
He's also called in the county and the state for help, which I found interesting because the sheriff is the county police. The police are the city police.
Yeah.
The sheriff is the county police. So he's saying he's called in the county,
Maybe he's
but
saying the
that should
entire
be
county,
him.
though. I don't know. But I agree with you. That is kind of an odd.
He does say that he's investigating the possibility that Maggie has been snatched. George asks about the mystery phone call, and Vicky explains about Willie having stopped by right before that to tell her that Sam shouldn't come paint till midnight. And George asks if there was anything unusual about his behavior. Vicky is funny because she's like, "Well, Sheriff, he's a huge fucking weirdo creep, so it's hard to tell." George decides that he'd better talk to Willie, and he invites Burke to join. And this is what I was trying to say earlier, but was jumping the gun. I find it funny that Burke has so quickly gone from the biggest pain in Sheriff George's ass to honorary deputy so quickly. Like, now he's just including Burke in all the police stuff.
They're buds. Maybe he feels bad for not believing him.
Maybe. Burke says that he wants to stay behind to talk to Vicky. So Jerry offers to walk the sheriff out. Sometimes in my notes, I accidentally call him by what his actual name is on the show. And so when I start to say Jerry and fumble, it's because I've written Jason
I
but don't
also
want to say it.
I also sometimes just forget his name is Jason until someone says it, and I'm like, "Oh yeah."
Anyway, Jerry walks the sheriff out to be like, "Oh, hey, Willie totally didn't have anything to do with that. You don't need to look in that direction at all."
Yeah.
George elaborates that he knows that Willie has a police record, so he's going to look into it. But he also volunteers that Jerry doesn't seem to have a police record, though. George asks Jerry if he has any information that might be helpful, and he does not. They sort of take the measure of each other and are
Mhm.
being fake polite, but
Yeah.
clearly establishing themselves as enemies. And then George excuses himself to go talk to Willie. Jerry makes a worried face after he's gone.
Yeah, he looks panicked as fuck. Vicky is looking out the drawing room window and lamenting to Burke about Maggie, and is wondering where she is. She is missing her friend. She is freaked out about Maggie maybe being dead, and Burke is like, "Well," and is just generally confused by it, which all that is a kind of a clusterfuck, and Dr. Woodward is not very forthcoming with clarity. So I could understand why she's like, maybe she was dead, maybe she wasn't, we don't know. But Burke suggests that they go talk to the nurse or the doctor and straighten it out to see what really happened. And she's like, "Okay, cool, let's do that, please."
Now, if you were in that position, if you were that nurse or doctor, what would you do? Because if it were me, I would not have told the family. I would have called the police and been like, It appeared that she was dead and now the body's gone. Also, her father and husband are in the building.
Yes.
My first instinct would be to call the police before telling them anything. Instead, Woodward just runs right out there to tell them all about it.
I
And
agree. I think that getting the authorities involved first, because you don't know their life, their story. We don't, like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, her dad is the abusive town drunk and may very well have snuck in there and killed her and then hid the body real quick.
sure. Well, I mean, it was obvious that she was just killed by, I mean, the nurse was in the room when she started choking to death or whatever, but yeah, you don't know. Sam could have been poisoning her this whole time. Woodward still doesn't have his blood tests back. So I agree with you. I would have probably alerted authorities. I certainly wouldn't have just run out and been like, she's dead, but maybe not, but she's gone for real. Like, I feel like protocol would be you call the police.
Jerry Maguire is right, and this hospital does suck.
Yeah, which I hate to ever say that Jerry Maguire is right, but he right.
As is becoming a running gag, Sheriff George just lets himself right into the old house and looks around. Eventually, Willie ambles downstairs and George shouts out, "Loomis!" And Willie freezes like, "Oh fuck, they've got me."
He goes, "You're Willie Loomis," which was a weird thing to say.
Well, he's fucking with him because he's being real, like, hardcore interrogating him, but then he's like, "Why are you scared?" George asks him where Barnabas is, and Willie explains that he's out until this evening. George tells him that that's okay. He actually came to talk to Willie anyway, and he asks about his whereabouts last night and if he was anywhere near the Eagle Hill Cemetery the night Maggie turned up there. Willie explains away his concern about Maggie being missing that night. When he spoke to Vicky, he just says, "Well, of course I was worried. She's a nice girl, and that's a scary thing to hear." George asks specifically about the mysterious phone call, which Willie denies, but he also starts to stammer and is visibly nervous and clearly lying. George warns that he'll be watching him like a hawk, and if he steps 1 foot out of line, he'll throw him in prison.
Over at the doctor's office or hospital, I guess, Vicky and Burke are talking to Dr. Woodward, and he is telling them that the nurse didn't detect a heartbeat. They are wondering if the nurse made a mistake, and he says that the nurse was, a professional and did everything she could to determine if Maggie was dead.
And so he's leaning very heavily into, like, well, I trust what the nurse says, and the nurse said she was dead.
But then in a minute he flips again,
Yeah,
which
well,
is
first, Burke is like, well, why would somebody want to snatch her corpse if she were dead?
yeah.
Woodward offers coffee and then flip flops and is like, well, it's possible that she had a catatonic seizure that mimics death. And I meant to look that up to see if it was real, but I didn't. So he goes on to say she could be alive and just wandering around out there somewhere sick. He also tells Vicky and Burke that he's still waiting on blood test results and also word from colleagues he's consulted to see if they know about any similar cases.
And he's like, I've never seen a case like this. But Vicky's like, motherfucker, I have Willie Loomis.
This apparently hadn't occurred to Doc Woodward. He's just like, oh, well, I guess it's superficially
Well,
similar, but I mean, Willie got better.
he's
So
like, but then he's like, man, I really didn't follow up on that. I guess I should have. Maybe I should get him in here. And again, Jerry's right. This is a bad doctor.
Burke tells the doctor that he'll make sure Willie comes in to get looked over. Woodward is like, that other weird thing was those puncture wounds on Maggie's throat. Wonder what that was about. And also, not right here, but I don't remember exactly where. A couple of times he alludes to, I have a theory, but I don't want to say it just yet until I've confirmed some things. And it seems at this point, maybe old Dr. Woodward suspects that there is a vampire.
Yeah, but doesn't want to be like a kook that's like, guess what, guys? I think we've got a vampire.
Yeah. Back at the old house, there's a knock on the door, and Willie creeps suspiciously towards the door. It's Jerry Maguire. He wants to know what Willie said to the sheriff, and he also wants to know if Willie actually did abduct Maggie. I believe Willie says no, and Jerry's like, I don't really care whether you did or not. You need to get out of town right now, because if the police are looking at you, that means they're going to be looking at me, and I can't have that before I milk this sad old lady for everything she's worth.
Yeah.
Jerry wants Willie to get out of town, and Willie wants Jerry to get out of the house and leave him alone. Willie threatens Jerry with a hammer. Jerry slaps Willie around for a while and then threatens to do worse if he doesn't leave. Then Jerry leaves. Willie struggles to his feet and wipes the blood from his lip, looking tormented. Outside, the sound of howling dogs pursues a frightened Jerry through the shrubbery. End credits.
Episode 238, Victoria Winters tells us Maggie is being held up in the old house to play house with the vampire. At Collinwood, Carolyn looks at the clock and Vicky is going to get the paper. I don't remember what the clock said, but it's early morning. And the Collinsport Star reads local missing girl did you
Local girl missing,
yeah, something
missing
like that
local girl.
with a big old picture of Maggie. Again, it is an unflattering. It's that same picture, isn't it?
It's not the morning. This is actually the evening edition of the paper, which they
Oh,
say in a minute.
my apologies. It is not morning, guys.
Vicky brings in the newspaper that she has glanced at, but then explains the article to Liz and Carolyn as though she had read it.
They talk about how sad it is that she's missing, and Carolyn asks how Joe is holding up. And Vicky describes him looking all along the shores, and she says, gee, he must feel awful. Do you think they will find her? Do you think that he will be my boy toy again if they don't?
Yeah,
And
there is definitely a hint of a tone in her voice that she hopes they don't find Maggie so she can have her boyfriend back.
Liz tells the girls that she doesn't want either of them going out alone at night because whoever is responsible for nabbing Maggie might still be nabbing. Opening credits.
Vicky tries to calm Liz, saying that there's no proof that Maggie has been abducted, but Liz is sure that she has and that she's being held somewhere, and they ought to know by now that their mom is a witch and they should listen to her.
It's
But
true.
furthermore, Sheriff George has said that no women should walk alone at night. Liz exits, and Carolyn laments that the house is becoming a prison because she's dramatic. Vicky suggests they take a walk to the old house to see the progress on the renovations. Carolyn agrees. At the old house, Vicky knocks on the door, and Carolyn is clearly already sort of spooked and remarks that it's 10 degrees colder here. Vicky's like, oh, that's just because we're by the water now. But Carolyn is scared. Vicky is excited to go in, and after there's no answer, they do start to leave, but then the door opens just a crack on its own. Vicky calls out, but no one replies. So, of course, she pushes the door the rest of the way open and steps inside. Nobody is there. She yells out for Mr. Collins, and finally, someone speaks up, and Carolyn is like, "You can't just waltz into somebody's house like that." She is scared and wants to go home, but also Vicky is breaking and entering.
Yeah.
So she tries to stop her, but Vicky insists that Carolyn just has to see the renovations at the old house.
Yeah, Vicky's acting a little weird, and I wonder if she's got like ghost sparkle in her brain or
That's
whatever.
what I was
Like,
going to ask if you thought that,
I
because I
did.
thought you would think that
Do
it
you think
seems like
that?
maybe
I'm open
like
to it, but I don't. She could have just been real jazzed about like period pieces. Like, ooh, let me look at the
but
curtains.
it does seem as though Barnabas is somehow suppressing
Yes.
Josette's hauntings. So it's unlikely that Josette would be leading her to the house.
Eh, but if they already had a psychic connection,
I don't know.
then I feel like there could. I don't know. I mean, either
Vicky,
way, Vicky's acting a little bit weird and a little too excited about like
yeah,
the
Vicky is
chandelier.
Vicky is being weird about this, and no matter how much Carolyn begs her to turn around and go home, Vicky just won't listen to reason. And she's like, no, you've got to see, come on. And Carolyn eventually does follow her in, and she is impressed by the renovations. She reacts like, wow, I can't even tell it's the same house. Vicky explains that Willie has done most of the work. Carolyn praises Barnabas's taste. Vicky shows her the portrait that Sam is painting of Barnabas, and Carolyn remarks that, gee, that looks a lot like the one we have at the house. She says that it almost looks like just a different artist's vision of the exact same man. At this point, Vicky wants to look upstairs, and Carolyn again reminds her that you can't just rummage around in other people's houses. But Vicky insists on going up, and Carolyn lets herself be bullied into following.
They find Maggie slash Josette's bridal chamber and comment on how beautiful the room is. They notice the portrait of Josette, and Carolyn is taken with the vanity and all the little old brushes and trinket boxes. And Vicky notices the perfume is jasmine, like Josette's magic ghost stank. As she says this, the door slams, and this freaks both of them out, particularly Carolyn, who's already spooked. And Vicky says it's probably the wind, but she'll investigate. And she does. And there is Willie, who freaks out about them being in the room and fucking with the vanity and touching stuff. And he tells them they have to leave right now before it gets dark. And tries to kick them out, and they're trying to chat and be friendly and like also like, you can't tell us what to do, buddy, but eventually they go ahead and do leave. He goes around the room adjusting things, and then as he leaves, Josette's portrait glows like she likes to do. So that is one reason why I do think that Vicky getting in the house, because she had a psychic connection to Vicky, somehow gave her a little bit of ghost juice. Like,
And we'll talk about that
yeah.
again a little bit later.
Yeah.
I did think it was funny and sort of improper that they wanted to see Barnabas's bedroom. They were like, "Where's Barnabas's room?"
Where's Like, can we go through his
Underpants.
underpants tour? I was about to say, but then I was like, is that scandalous? That's scandalous.
I will
Vampire
say
Underpants is a band name we should write down.
Carolyn and Vicky leave the old house, and Willie is making sure everything's in its proper place, and the score gets spooky as Willie backs out of the room, and He follows the ladies downstairs where they ask him to tell Barnabas what a great job he's doing on the renovation and redecoration. And Barnabas does like he likes to do and sneaks up unannounced and says, "Tell him yourself, because he's right here, right behind you." Uh, and they heap praise on the room upstairs. He explains that the room belonged to Josette and has been restored to exactly how it used to be. Vicky mentions, like, oh, I knew it was Josette's room because of the perfume. Barnabas confirms it. Willie urges the ladies to head home, and they explain that Liz doesn't want them out at night on account of Maggie being snatched, and Barnabas feigns concern. On the way out, Vicky is like, just one more innocuous question, just a little thing, really. Say, do you remember that lady who killed herself that you tried to scare us with a story about the other night was? And he reveals that it was indeed Josette. Vicky says, "Yeah, I thought so. Do you happen to know who the man that chased her off of the cliff was?" And Barnabas just says, "No, nobody knows. Just lost to time. Nobody."
Nope.
And Vicky remarks that she's interested to find out. Barnabas makes a face like, "Oh shit, hope she doesn't." The ladies make their exit. Willie is worried that he's going to get into trouble, but Barnabas is just like, "What nice girls. What a nice visit. Everything's fine. Go get dinner ready for our guest." Back at the main house, Vicky and Carolyn are gushing about the renovations to Liz. Liz is puzzled why Barnabas would have prioritized Josette's room, and she has good genealogy reasons for this, which we don't know yet, so I won't spoil, but I did for Becca off mic.
Yeah, and it does make sense that she wonders about it, but also just from a practical, like, you're a single bachelor living alone, and one of the first things you do is make a lady bedroom. Why? Like,
She's like, "Is he a homo?" If so, no wonder my brother is so fond of him.
maybe he can go sleep in Josette's room and get out of my house.
At the old house, Barnabas tells Willie to show their guest into the dining room, which is funny because it's not a dining room. They've just set up a
Yeah.
table and two chairs in the front room because they haven't built a dining room set, even though this is supposed to be a giant mansion. The only rooms in it are the front room, the secret murderer jail behind the bookcase room, the basement, and Josette's room.
Yeah.
Barnabas sits and waits at the table, but he stands as he hears the childish music box tune playing. And Maggie is holding the music box as she descends the stairs. She extends a hand to him. He welcomes her as his darling Josette. She is wearing the wedding dress, which is jumping the gun a little bit. Creepy. End credits. Episode 239. Victoria Winter's weather report informs us of a gentle night wind. Also, Sam is still freaking out about his missing daughter. At the Blue Whale, he sits and drinks. Joe joins him, and Sam laments that the police are not doing enough. Joe answers back and outlines exactly what the police are doing and how they are doing plenty. Sam wonders where Maggie could have gone. Obvious cut to the old house. Maggie in the wedding dress, listening to the music box, comes down the stairs again. It's the same last scene from the previous episode before the opening credits. We follow that scene further where Barnabas leads Maggie Josette to the table, which is set up in the front room, not a dining room,
Yeah.
as I initially thought. He beckons Willie to light the candles as Miss Josette is ready to dine. Willie clearly hasn't been briefed and is like, "Why are you calling her that? We both know that's Maggie Evans." And Barnabas is just like, "Nope, that's her name now, and you are only to address her as Miss Josette henceforth. Got it?" And he's like, "Okay, whatever." So Barnabas sends Willie to fetch dinner, and he tries to make conversation with Maggie Josette, but she's too brainwashed to get out more than a word or two at a time. So he tells her again about how she's going to be his bride, and she just repeats,
Bruh.
"Bride," like a Frankenstein. He says the childish tune from the music box is her favorite song, and he encourages her to keep playing it. Willie returns, and Barnabas tells her to introduce herself to Willie, to tell him her name, and she obeys, answering Josette with a question mark. Barnabas is pleased. Back at the whale, Joe and Sam continue to fret about Maggie, with Sam being more upset and Joe trying to calm him. They talk about the portrait he's supposed to be painting for Barnabas, and Sam confirms that, yeah, I'm going to put that on hold, while my daughter's missing. So Joe offers to drive him up to the old house to tell Barnabas. Back at the old house, Barnabas orders Maggie Josette to look into his eyes. She does. He tells her she must never be frightened of him, explaining to her that, "Remember, you were frightened of me that one time and ended up killing yourself, so don't do that again." Bad Josette.
Oh man, gosh.
She continues just repeating the last word of each of his sentences, and he continues to give her short phrases to parrot. Catherine Lee Scott is playing hypnotized well. It's unsettling.
Yeah, it is freaky.
Maggie starts to come out of it for a second, but returns to following her programming again. He tells her the story of their early romance, about how when she first came from France and he was supposed to teach her English. And outside, Sam and Joe knock loudly. Willie comes in a panic, like, Joe and Sam are here. What the fuck am I supposed to
What the fuck?
do?"
What am I supposed to say? Yeah.
Barnabas tells him just to answer the door and say that Barnabas can't be disturbed. Willie goes to do that, but it doesn't work. Sam insists that this is very important and also won't take much time, so he's going to come in. Willie tells him to wait, and he goes and reports this to Barnabas. Willie is more worried than Barnabas is. He just tells Willie, "Just take Josette Maggie up to her room and stay with her while I deal with them." And he tells Maggie Josette that he'll come see her later. Willie ushers Maggie upstairs, and Barnabas goes to let Sam and Joe in, just friendly as ever. They enter. Barnabas asks in a concerned tone if there's been any word about Maggie, and asks if there's anything he can do to help. Sam tells Barnabas that he just dropped by to say that he needs time off from the painting. Barnabas is very understanding about it. He says he was planning on taking time off from the painting anyway because he's busy with a new, uh, business project. Sam tries to take the portrait home to work on, but Barnabas weirdly forbids it. Upstairs, Willie babysits Maggie Josette. She's wandering the room in a daze, and he leads her by the arm and sits her in an armchair. We hear Joe call out, Sam, loudly, and Sam starts yelling back, and they're having a loud conversation about rounding up Sam's things to take home. Maggie hears them upstairs, and it starts to pull her out of her Dracula trance. She repeats many times that she heard voices, but Willie gaslights her and is like, Voices? No, you didn't. Just come sit back down. Everything's fine. He successfully gets her back in the chair. She asks, What room is this? He tells her it's her room, but she says, No, it isn't. I've never been here before. Why am I here? I want to leave. Willie warns her that she'll get in very big trouble if she does that and sits her back down. She continues to go on about hearing voices. We check in downstairs with Sam and Barnabas. They're just having polite conversation before heading back up to Maggie, going on and on about the voices. She suddenly remembers that it was Pop and Joe that she heard speaking. She wants to go to them. Willie tries to settle her down. As Sam and Joe head towards the door, Maggie starts to struggle and cry out as she tries to escape. Willie grabs her and covers her mouth, all the while whispering to her that he's trying to protect her.
Yeah, this part made me feel like super sad. I thought Catherine Lee Scott was doing a good job of being in and out of her hypnosis and confused.
Yes, she wriggles free and calls out for Pop and Joe once more as we hear the car drive away. And Willie is sadly like, It's too late, they're gone. Maggie collapses into the chair, defeated. Barnabas creeps up the stairs. In the car, Joe remarks that he can't see very well. Sam says that he sees a woman on the road up ahead. They both are like, maybe it's Maggie, but then it isn't. They commiserate that they both are thinking the same thing whenever they see any random lady, like, oh, is that Maggie?
Yeah.
Sam, morbidly and giving up too quickly, says he would rather just find out that Maggie were really dead rather than keep wondering. And of course, parents of missing children do generally come to that conclusion after a fashion,
After months and months
but
or years and years,
not
usually.
not the next day.
Yeah.
And Joe calls him on it. He's like, that's fucked up. He says he has a feeling that she's alive and she's nearby. Back in Maggie Josette's room, Barnabas busts in and sends Willie away.
Willie is trying to protect her from him and kind of tries to linger.
Well, in the struggle, some things got knocked over, and Willie's apologizing profusely, like, it was all my fault. Please don't hurt her. She didn't
Yeah.
do anything. It is sad. Barnabas just tells Willie to leave, and so he does. Barnabas gets increasingly angry, telling Maggie that she's never going to leave him. End credits.
Episode 240. Victoria Winters says that the night wind says that Maggie is lost.
Roger is reading the newspaper article about missing Maggie that Vicky showed Liz earlier. David comes bounding down the stairs, excitedly telling Roger, Did Miss Winters tell you? She found her. Roger, of course, assumes Maggie and is like, No, but she fucking should have. That's big news. David elaborates that no, he meant the painting of Josette. It's hanging up at the old house now. David runs outside to play, and Vicky is clearly like, Don't go to the old house.
Yeah.
Roger, after David is gone, explains to Vicky that, like, yeah, I thought she was talking about Maggie, and they're both like weird that he's so excited about this painting when there's a missing lady that he knows. David, of course, has gone to the old house against Vicky's instructions, and he sees Maggie Josette through the window, thinking that she's Josette Josette. He says Josette about 1,000 times, begging her to let him in. The door opens on its own, which could be interpreted as Josette actually letting him in the
I
house.
feel like that's how I interpreted it. What about you?
I'm not sure. Once he gets inside, he says Josette again another 1,000 times. Anyway, he creeps up into Josette's room, not knowing it's Josette's room. He's happy to see the painting and talks to it, begging Josette to appear to him like she did downstairs. Barnabas enters and demands to know what the fuck he's doing in there. David tries to explain and is like, well, I was just talking to Josette. That is the painting of Josette. Also, I saw her downstairs, but she doesn't seem to be up here. Barnabas tries to tell David that he's imagining things, and he scolds him for peeking in his windows and breaking in his house.
Even though he's definitely a window peeker himself.
Well, yeah, but he does it telepathically
Yeah.
and through Dracula magic.
Yeah.
I bet he would have been fine with it if David had just looked in his crystal ball, which we seem to have forgotten
I
about.
know, like we're bring back the crystal ball.
Maybe he's not spooky anymore now that Bird
Bird
Mommy burnt
mommy's
up.
gone.
Anyway, Barnabas returns David to the main house and asks to speak to Roger privately in order to say to him very politely, but with the meaning being keep that little shit from snooping around my house. Roger says that it's no wonder David's being weird again because weird shit is going down. Roger goes on to tell his cousin that there have been no developments in Maggie's disappearance, but divulges that Dr. Woodward said that he has suspicions based on the blood samples that he took from Maggie, and the doctor thinks that those results might offer a clue. Barnabas is like, interesting. Dr. Woodward, you say? Do you happen to have his address so that I can go kill him? Elsewhere, Vicky tells David to come right upstairs to continue studying after dinner. But David's preoccupied going on and on about Josette, and he's saying there was something different about Josette. He just couldn't put his finger on it. Perhaps she was Maggie. Vicky loses her temper when he won't shut up about Josette after being told to a couple of times. They argue, and David pretends to go down to dinner, but instead he creeps over to the drawing room doors to eavesdrop, and when he hears that nobody's in there, grabs his coat and heads right out the front doors back to the old house.
A little later, Vicky is telling Roger that David is gone and didn't even eat his dinner. And Roger is being a dick to Vicky. He is saying that her gentle parenting and lack of boundaries is why he disobeys and does things like this. And he's blaming her for that. And he's blaming her for his delusional fantasies about Josette. Oh, and I guess he's blaming that on Vicky being upset about Maggie. Vicky's kind of sitting there and taking it until he's like, you should stuff your feelings down and stop being sad that your friend is missing, because then she's like, you know what, dude, fuck you.
She cries and they go back and forth a
Yeah.
fair amount, and she wins.
Yeah, she's like, fuck you, buddy. I'm going to feel what I feel. And he's like, okay, I'm sorry I upset you. Then at the old house, they together go find David, assuming he's at the old house.
Well, Vicky wants to go by herself because she's clearly still pissed at
Yeah,
Roger,
like
but
fucking leave me alone.
can't be too pissed at him
Yeah.
because she's a servant. But
Yes.
and so they gently argue about who's going to go fetch David. She's like, "No, I'll go," but he insists on joining her. At the old house, the camera pans across the empty front room before David walks right in the door without knocking and whisper yells for Josette several times. Maggie Josette comes down the stairs with the music box, and David smiles and exclaims, Josette, so happy to see
Then my
you.
friend is here.
When I do a high pitched voice, the noise cancellation on the mic cuts it out.
That's funny.
Josette approaches David from the shadows to a theremin sting. End credits. What do you think about Maggie Josette?
I think that Kathleen Lee Scott is a pretty good actress. I think she's doing a good job. I think the Ghost Josette and Maggie Josette and all of that. I have to be careful what I say because we can't talk about things we know, but
I think you're trying to say that you do think Josette is, in a small way, as much as she can, trying to help people find out that Maggie is being
I
held
do
prisoner.
believe that. I think she is being suppressed.
She's like, this fool is trying to replace me.
Well,
No, she's not. She's
no.
like, this dude is crazy.
This dude is crazy and trying
And
to
also a Dracula.
tried to Dracula me and I didn't like it. Now he's trying to Dracula her and turn her into me, and that's weird. And I do think that it's super sad, like Maggie crying out for Joe and her dad and like being all sick and confused. It's super sad. I also thought it was kind of sad that poor old sexy Gomer Pyle is like a crazy vampire who is
He is crazy. He is a hot dude.
yeah.
He could marry anybody he wants to.
Crazy.
You don't gotta brainwash nobody.
He wants her to be his dead love or whatever. So
I'm glad you're having fun. I was worried you'd be more weirded out by the kidnap and brainwashing and gaslighting.
I mean, it's not great. I mean, it's really like the same story. Like it's, it is also Bram Stokery in the same, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like, you are my great lost love, and I am going to make you be here with me now. Brainwash, brainwash, gaslight, gaslight. I've oceans of time to fumble you and all of that. I'm enjoying it. I think it's well written and I like the actors and it's fun.
Well, I'm glad you're having a good time. I am also having a good time.
Good.
Listeners, I have a bone to pick with you. Nary a one of you has sent us a ghost story.
Oh, yeah, we need them.
Send us your ghost stories via email to ghostswantyouddead@gmail.com or via DM on Instagram at ghostswantyoudead. Text or voice notes are fine. We want to do a ghost story bonus episode.
We do.
We revealed some information to our patrons a few weeks ago that we haven't told the general audience, which is that not very many people are listening to this Dark Shadows podcast despite our best efforts. And we are considering a pivot to something else. One of the options we're considering is a general purpose spooky podcast with a bit of a twist segment, which we will reveal at a later date. I am also having second thoughts because Dark Shadows is getting good and I want to stick with it.
We could also just keep doing it. I think what we may end up doing is switching around our timing a little bit for that to make room for something that could be more monetarily. Yeah.
Or we've also discussed making the Dark Shadows episodes Patreon only and once a month.
Sure.
But we'll see how it
We'll
goes.
figure it out.
But anyway, we're about to get to a bunch of good stuff, and I don't want to stop now.
We don't have to stop. I don't think we should stop, but I think that we should rearrange what we're doing and give this a try if people will send us their ghost stories.
So, yes, what we're getting at, listeners, please send us your ghost stories. Also, please rate and review us 5 stars on your platform of choice and tell your friends that like Dark Shadows to tune in. Maybe starting with the big recap of the beginning episodes because all of our early episodes sound like shit.
Yeah.
Once the rebrand happens, I do think I'm going to paywall all of the bad sounding early episodes.
Yeah.
But changes are a coming, most likely, unless we magically skyrocket in listenership over the next month.
We are excited about doing a bonus episode that is ghost stories. And I wanted to say, like, it doesn't have to be ghosts, just really any paranormal experience that you've had. Ghosts are preferable, or it could be a story that you were told by a family member.
Have you seen a ghost? Have you seen an alien? Have you seen a Bigfoot or a squonk? Especially squonks
Please
because I
tell
am
us.
very fond of them.
Tell us about all the school.
Any of that sort of things. Have you had an eerie premonition? Have you been brainwashed by a vampire to be his dead fiance? Tell us all about it.
Yes, please.
This program is brought to you by Amy and Austin and Jacob. You could join their number by visiting our Patreon at patreon.com/ghostswantyoudead and giving us money. Ghosts want your money. In exchange, we talk at you more. You can follow us on other social media on Instagram and YouTube and Threads and Blue Sky and Reddit at Ghosts Want You Dead. We're coming up on the 2-hour mark, so we're going to hang up now.
Goodbye.
Bye. Can you hear my dog snoring?
I can. I like it.